Hey guys, Dani here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow Eevee and I on Instagram. In this video, I'm going to go over my first 6 months training Eevee as my service dog. What has gone well, what has not gone well, and what I plan to change moving forward. The first thing I would have done differently is having a training schedule done before I brought Eevee home. This would have made Eevee's initial training more structured and deliberate. And even now, I don't really have one, mostly due to the pandemic, everything just being so up in the air all the time. It's very hard for me to plan, but that is something that I do want to work on. And it's not to say that any particular service dog in training should be at a certain point at every given month or anything like that, but having at least an outline of what you want to have done when helps keep you on track, helps see how far you are to your goals, helps you know what to work on next when you get stuck or not sure where you're going with things. And when you get home a new puppy, especially if you're owner training, it is very overwhelming. They are a baby, they take a lot of effort, and you end up being very tired. So just having that training schedule done beforehand is very helpful, just to give you a gauge of where you're trying to go. A thing that I am super glad that I did was bringing in a trainer very early on. I brought Eevee home September 4th, and her first training session was September 29th. Basically, what her early training sessions were about teaching her how to learn and setting up a good foundation for us moving forward. A lot of her early sessions were about engagement and just fun little games, but it really helped her understand that this is her life and she's going to be doing training throughout her life, as well as the fact that she learned the basics on, like I said, how to learn, so that we didn't have as many problems moving forward. I wish I would have given Eevee less freedom early on. While she did have a house line on her pretty much the first few months that she was home, I didn't actually have her tethered to me most of the time. While she does follow me around because she is a Cavalier and that's kind of part of her breed, it has made healing a bit of a training issue and a stumbling block that we have faced. So if I had her tethered from the beginning, she would have known to always be walking beside me and would have figured that out a lot quicker and picked up on heel a lot quicker, as well as it would have given her better manners on her leash. And when we're going on free walks, is basically like walks when she's not working, she would have had much better behavior if I had tethered her from the beginning. The thing that really worked well in Eevee's training was bringing on new experiences from the very beginning. About 7 days after I brought her home is the first time she went to a store. Now, she did not go in the store, so this was not a public access thing because that was far too early for that. But what we did do is sit outside of the store and watch people go in and out of the store. I specifically chose a place that I knew that there'd be a lot of different types of people, specifically with mobility devices, because I'm familiar with that place in my neighborhood. This allowed Eevee from a very, very young age to see all sorts of different types of people with different looks and shapes. And so now she doesn't really have any qualms with anyone who looks differently or doesn't look like the people who look like in my house. So for example, the other day, I was walking with her and we bumped into one of my neighbors, and one of my neighbors is in a wheelchair and she wanted to pet Eevee. Eevee just went right up on the wheelchair and right into her lap. No qualms, no fear, no nothing. And that is because from a super, super young age, she has seen people that look different to the people that she sees every single day. I made a concerted effort to do that and expose her to that. By 4 months old, Eevee was going on short, deliberate trips with me to the store. This means that pretty much the entire purpose of us going to the store itself was to train her in public access, and that the moment that she was not okay, I was okay to leave. It wasn't like, for example, going to the grocery store where I actually needed to get groceries, and if she started acting up or wasn't okay or had a fear or anything went wrong, that I'd still have to get my groceries. These were kind of outings that were 5 to 10 minutes, and because she was so young and not potty trained yet, it was very I made a concerted effort to make her potty before. We do 5 to 10 minutes in the store, maybe pick up one item or do a curbside pickup because we're in pandemic times, that type of stuff, so that she was exposed to that. We also went to the Toronto Zoo for the first time at 5 months, as well as she went to the mall. Now, part of the reason why Eevee did a lot of these things so young is because we are in a pandemic. For us here in Toronto, we went on a lockdown at the end of November, and then we got out of a lockdown in about March, April, and then went back into a lockdown in April. So there hasn't been a lot of periods of time where things have been fairly open for Eevee to train in public access. Public access is a big struggle for us because there is nowhere public really to go. So that being said, when we had those opportunities, I took them. And because she was so young, it is very normal for her to go on random adventures to random places, and she is perfectly fine and not fazed whatsoever. The last thing that worked really well for us in terms of exposing her to different types of people is that for the first few months of school, before again we went on lockdown and kids went online, I walked Eevee past the local school every single day. So before she got her shots and she couldn't be walking on the ground, I carried her, and then after she got her shots, that was a part of her morning walk, was to walk by the school while kids were going to school. This allowed her to, again, see many different types of people, different shapes, sizes, heights. You have, kindergartners and grade 8s and their parents and all that type of stuff, and it allowed her to be exposed to busy streets, because the streets are obviously much more busy when a bunch of people are walking to school, crossing guards, traffic, all that type of stuff. The last thing that I think greatly helped Eevee's training so far was not doing a board and train right away. So the thought process behind doing a board and train right away is to get your puppy off on a good footing, which makes sense. However, it is inevitable that you will come across issues in your training with your service puppy at some point, and board and trains are very expensive. So if you do a board and train at 8 weeks old, a lot of what that board and train is going to entail is teaching the puppy things like sit, lie down, learning how to learn, going potty outside, etc., etc. Personally, these were things that I thought that I could handle fairly well on my own. I did have a trainer coming in every single week. But when I took her on her board and train when she was about 6 months old, what really made the difference is I knew where she was struggling and where I was struggling to train her. And then when she did her 2 weeks of board and train, the trainer really could focus on those areas that I was struggling or I wasn't physically capable of teaching her. This was so helpful because if I had done it at the beginning and used all that money to do it at the beginning, I would have come into these issues and then just been sitting there struggling. This way, the trainer dealt with all of those issues that I was struggling with. Eevee got back on a great footing. She learned so much in those 2 weeks because she already knew how to learn, and she's been so much better since she's come home. At the moment, Eevee's biggest issue is that she just absolutely loves people. She would love to say hi to absolutely everyone, no matter what, no matter where we are. She wants everyone to be her friend. This is a good thing because she is very friendly, but this becomes a bad thing because when she is working and her attention is supposed to be on me, especially when we're in a store because she is super cute and people are soliciting attention from her, it is very hard for her to resist the urge to go and say hi to someone, especially when they're like basically asking her to do so. One way we are working on this is basically teaching her the difference between on duty and off duty. So for example, every day I try and take her on 2 walks. One, where she's in her vest, she has to be in a solid heel. She has to be focused on me at all times. She cannot sniff anything. She cannot go to anybody. And then one where she is not in her vest and she is just free and it's like her free walk. That way she kind of can learn the difference, and that when we're in stores and her vest is on, that she knows that she cannot go to other people and solicit attention or, you know, go hang out with other people. I also think that Eevee will thrive much better on a more solid routine, which we can now create because it is very clear where we are in our pandemic life here in Toronto and in Ontario. We're going to be on lockdown for a while, so I am now finally able to create a more solid routine for her, which allows her to thrive because she knows what's going to happen. Before, everything was a little bit up in the air, which made each day a little bit different, which made it hard for us, and sometimes she wouldn't get trained because I'm so busy, and back and forth. So I think that having a schedule and a routine will also help her to thrive greatly. Overall, at this point, Eevee is looking amazing. Specifically for me as a first-time service dog owner trainer, I think she looks great. She learns super quickly. She picks up very quickly. It's more just about solidifying. I've also made the decision that I haven't given her like a lot of words to things yet. So she knows a lot of actions, but there is no words correlated with it as of yet, because right now I'm having her pretty much like learn, and then we're going to solidify everything a little bit later. That's just my personal opinion and how I work, especially because I do have all of her commands in French. So it does take me a little bit of time to figure out the best word for things. But overall, things are looking great, and I think that, you know, she's going to make a great service dog in the future. Hopefully learning from my experience and the things that I did well and the things that I think that I can improve on will help you in your journey to training your own service dog. If you guys have any questions, tips, or advice, please feel free to leave all of that in the comment section down below. I would love to have a very open discussion about owner training and things in our comment section down below. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. I will see you guys again next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.